While working as a caregiver, a young woman stumbled upon a terrifying secret. She deliberately dripped high-proof liquor into the elderly man's eyes, yet strangely his eyes showed absolutely no reaction. This result sent a chill down the girl's spine, for she was now convinced that the old man before her was not truly blind, but merely feigning it. Furthermore, every night as she prepared to sleep, she would hear the old man's footsteps just outside her door. Concurrently with the arrival of every dawn, a new small hole would mysteriously appear in her door, and she and the old man were the only two people in the entire house. Aside from the old man, the girl could not conceive of a third person who would sneak over in the dead of night to spy on her. At night, wrapped tightly in her blanket, the girl lay awake, too terrified to sleep. She wanted to see once and for all if it was indeed the old man coming to spy on her. Just then, the hallway light was switched off by whom she did not know, and when dawn broke, yet another small hole had inexplicably appeared in her door. The next day, the girl deliberately held the food just out of the old man's reach, hoping to test whether he was truly faking his blindness. However, he remained unresponsive for so long that the girl eventually had no choice but to feed him the meal herself. At that moment, she thought she might have misjudged the old man, yet the events that followed only served to reinforce her conviction that he was indeed feigning blindness. Early the next morning, as she assisted the old man on his daily walk, the girl intentionally withdrew her support. Bizarrely, just as the blind man was about to collide with a wall, he instinctively turned around and walked back in the opposite direction. This proved to be the final straw for the girl. She sought out the unscrupulous employment agency to tender her resignation and leave the place for good. To her surprise, however, the agent urged her to stay, arguing that jobs were hard to come by and that the old man was merely spying, something that in his view posed no significant physical harm to her. Having made his case, the agent then voluntarily offered the girl a raise of $20,000. Upon hearing this, the girl insisted that she was not motivated by greed, but simply possessed a genuine desire to care for the elderly. Upon returning to the house, the girl wedged a spoon into her doorframe to prevent the old man from sneaking in with malicious intent. Yet, to her dismay, the number of small holes in her door continued to multiply. Determined to give the old man a scare, she drew a small dagger and crouched down low, hoping to catch a glimpse of what exactly he was up to. Strangely, however, there was no one outside the door. She cautiously opened it to investigate, but by that time, the peeping intruder appeared to have already fled. But the moment she turned around, she was shocked to find the old man already lying in her own bed, all while that single eye remained fixed in an unblinking stare upon her. The girl could scarcely believe her eyes. Fortunately, upon closing them, she realized it was merely a hallucination. Yet by this point, her patience had reached its absolute limit. Clutching her lantern, she resolved to go and see whether the old man was truly asleep. She stepped out into the hallway, moistened her finger in her mouth, and then poked a small peephole through the door. However, when she bent down to peer inside, she found it pitch black. She couldn't make out a thing. Determined to get to the bottom of it, she raised her lantern to provide some light, but the instant she drew near, a small knife suddenly thrust out from within. The sudden attack left the girl utterly dumbfounded. At that very moment, the blind old man slowly emerged, staring at that terrifying eye and no longer caring whether his blindness was real or feigned. The girl immediately drew her own knife and killed the old man. Afterward, in order to continue collecting her wages, the girl boiled the old man's corpse to destroy all evidence. Just then, however, the unscrupulous employment agent showed up, as if he had caught the scent of the deed. Fearing discovery, the girl deliberately bypassed the old man's room and led the agent toward her own quarters instead. Yet the moment they reached her door, the girl stood dumbfounded. She discovered that, to her astonishment, there wasn't a single hole in it. She immediately assumed she was suffering from another hallucination, but just then, the light suddenly went out. Who do you think